Hi, and welcome to Marriott MBA Today. I'm Frank Cho here, continuing our TA series. I'm with Jeremy Averett, who's TA for Finance 401, Advanced Financial Management, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about himself, his career, and what his plans are. So tell us, Jeremy, what brought you back here to BYU for your graduate degree?
All right, so I did my undergraduate degree here at BYU in accounting, great accounting program, went right in and worked in public accounting like most accounting graduates do, and ended up working mostly in corporate tax, and I did that for 5.5 years. That included a lot of work with compliance, so preparing and filing tax returns, a lot of projects related to that as well. Also included a big portion of my work was accounting for income taxes, and so the footnotes that you see in any 10K that you look at for income taxes, the disclosures around that, there's a lot of calculations, a lot of documentation that goes into that, and that's what we worked on for a large portion of what I did.
Tell me, what made you decide to leave accounting and come back for an MBA?
Well, so I left school thinking that an MBA was a possibility for my future, but I didn't know. I wanted to see what was going to happen with this public accounting job, see where it took me. And it's not that I didn't like the work. I mean, things were going well. I worked my way up. I became a manager, but it was really at that point that I was able to see the management side and really see what partners do. And so as I projected forward to where I was going to end up in the next 5-10 years, I mean, I could have had a great career as a partner in public accounting, but it just wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't me. It wasn't going to fit what my career goals were. And I didn't want to spend the rest of my career like that, so I had to make somewhat of a transition. And after looking at different options, I decided that coming back, getting an MBA was the best way to transition into something different, to get some additional training, and also to have the great opportunity of coming here and having exposure to all these different companies that could potentially be where I go to work. And so I pitched it to my wife, and she bought in, actually encouraged me to go back to school, which was somewhat surprising. And so once I had her buy-in, it was back to school.
Perfect. You know, that's one of the hardest things, at least in my experience too, is trying to get the buy-in from the wife. But
yeah,
once
it
you
was
do,
a little bit of a surprise, but once she was for it,
smooth sailing.
Yeah, we were here pretty much.
So one of the biggest parts of an MBA degree is going over the summer and interning with a company to be able to get some on-the-job experience and prepare for the second year. So tell me where you interned and what the projects you worked on were like.
Okay, so I interned at Hewlett-Packard. I was in Fort Collins, Colorado. Actually had an opportunity to work with several MBA graduates from recent years. The last few years they've hired an MBA grad to be there in Fort Collins, and so great people. The project I worked on, the main one, was around revenue and margin reporting for end customers. And so that's looking at, as HP does a lot of business through channel partners, it was trying to gather all of the data that comes through them and put it together so that we could have a good picture of each large customer's revenue and margin history. And one of the major uses of that was going to be for pricing decisions. And so when our salespeople are out and trying to close a deal with a customer, that'll oftentimes come to a pricing analyst who has to buy off on it. And so they can look at this history that we put together and make a good decision saying, okay, we've performed well in the past, we can probably give them a little bit more of a discount or whatever the case may be. And it actually, most of my project turned out to be a large VBA project, and so that was something I hadn't had any experience in prior to coming to MBA school, but I took the VBA course that's offered in the winter just before going out for the summer, and felt like I was more than competent, so I was grateful to have had that training before I went out and did the internship. It really helped me to do well.
One of the things that I've heard time and time again is how great that course is, and in my own internship experience, it really helped me too. So now graduation is coming up in April. It'll be time to move on. So what are your plans once you finish your MBA?
So like I mentioned, I enjoyed the work at HP, great group of people to work with, and so I was thrilled to get an offer after I came back to school after the summer, and decided recently that I was going to go ahead and accept that and head back to Fort Collins for next summer, and so I'll be working as a financial analyst at HP.
Okay. So tell me if you have any advice that you would give to undergrads who are thinking about grad school or any career advice in general.
Okay, so this is advice that I would give to anybody, not just someone who's coming back to graduate school, but thinking back on what would have helped me a lot, coming back to school especially, and going through recruiting, talking to all these different people, is keeping a journal of my accomplishments in my work. Something that I didn't do, but it would have made things a lot easier, and I would have been a lot better in interviews had I kept track of what I was doing, how it was benefiting the company, how I was growing and developing from these things that I was doing. Depending on my memory, just wasn't enough. I could remember some things, but I can't remember everything. And so every little thing that I did that was good and that was positive for the company, if I could have noted down in a journal, what it was that I did, how it helped the company, put in some quantitative data to help that, because that's always the most difficult to go back and get. Would have been great to have that as I was going through the interview process, and would have helped in my interviews to be able to have the right answers to the questions they were asking, and to support those answers with real data, quantitative, real evidence as to why it was beneficial for me and for the company. So I wished I had done that, for my resume, and also for being able to tell those things to recruiters and interviewers as I went through the recruiting process.
Yeah, that's really great advice, and I'm definitely going to start doing that myself. I can see a lot of benefit there.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jeremy, for being with us, and thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time on Marriott MBA Today.